Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident Podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. On this episode, we are joined by Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza Podcast. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident Podcast, a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. We are happy to have our most favorite co-host, Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza Podcast. He is a 3-time nominee for the Best African Diasporan Podcast by the APVA, and he is from the Republic of Kenya in East Africa. His podcast has been recognized by the Jollof Radio Media. He was recently a guest on the One Mic Show podcast and Liquor Talk podcast, and he was a 2024 presenter at the 2024 Afros and Audio Podcast Festival. Hey, Sambaza.
Hey, Jen, how you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you.
Oh, just want to let you know we're also live on Clubhouse right now under the Colors Creators of Color CC of Color Collective. Let me put it that way.
Okay, you set that up.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, cool. So, welcome in, friends. Welcome. And so today, back to another episode. Woke by Accident, Sambaza collaboration. This week, we did another pivot, and we are wrapping up. We're actually getting close to the end of the year. It's kind of hard to believe it, but we are next month. We're getting closer to the end of the year. So this will actually be a recap episode. And as I realized, as we're going back to the last recap, this will be our last recap of 2024. So we're joined again by our gracious co-host, Sambaza, as we reflect on incredible conversations and impactful topics that we've covered these last 5 episodes, which as we wind up and get closer to the end of the year, thoughts about our last 5 episodes as we give our last recap for 2024.
I think the last couple of episodes have been really unique in their own way, where we have had guests who gave us great insights. And as we go along and talk about the podcast, people realize what had been going on over the last couple of episodes. Not even a couple of episodes, last 5 episodes, I must say.
For sure, I agree. I definitely appreciate your input and contribution to the show. Again, this kind of organically evolved this partnership, and I'm proud of the work that we've accomplished, especially the mental health topics, the autism topics. I mean, I'm really am proud of that, and really feel like we should sit down and submit for a few awards. I know. So, like it's our content is not for nothing. We put some good stuff out there, and
Right.
I'm proud of it. Even if, aside from awards, I personally don't need that, but it would be nice to, have that feedback in the space, but like, that's part of the legacy is out there forever, and we put some good work out there. And you have made some great achievements with you getting more experience in the game, second and or third speaking engagement. Speak on that.
Yeah, well, third speaking engagement, that's been great. There's one coming up. I need to work on the episodes. Once I finish them, once I'm done with those episodes, like creating the whole program, it should be good. What I'll say is when I look back, you don't realize as you keep going, then you stop and they say stop and smell the roses. We never do that. So I think right now when I stopped and smelled the roses and I look back and say we're in October, we started this in February. Can you imagine that? And all these episodes, and you look at the quantity of work that has been put out there from the time you get the guests over and then you get to write. There's a lot of things that go on in the background people don't realize. They just see the show and say, oh wow, okay, great show. But a lot of stuff has gone on in the background trying to get all this put together and to have done it for the long time, man, that was awesome. Then plus the fact that we actually got to meet each other for the first time in the Afros and Audio Festival
Right.
this year, and that was also one of the great highlights of the week, and I guess one of our podcasting highlights as well, because we never had planned. And look at where we are now.
Yeah, for sure. If we would have, I mean, things just really rolled so fast in that weekend, especially being late and running. We're
Oh yeah,
trying to walk 2 blocks. There's just so many things that happen. I would like to have some time to sit down. Maybe we could have recorded something, in some space or something like that with our gadgets and gadgets that we brought. But I had to put a pin in that.
I think with better arrangement next time, we could probably, now that we know what we're doing, we could probably get a space where we're all together at the same spot.
Hmm.
Then when we get there, we have a chance to sit down, like maybe get an Airbnb when we sit down and we can record stuff. And then even if we
Hmm.
have people coming in to visit, they can visit, let's say in the evening, and we can say, hey, we're going to have a cookout or some type of cookout in the evening time, and they can come around and we can have a meetup of some sort or do a
That's
breakfast,
a
early
thought.
breakfast before we get to the Afros and Audio space. We can just have have a party. And there are places
Hmm.
right down the street that have Airbnbs, because I've stayed in one, and that could be an idea that we can flaunt and see if it would work.
For sure, definitely. Yeah. So we'll have to kick that around. But yeah, we I definitely had some good moments.
I'd
Did you
like to
have a
welcome everyone who's out there. Uh, on the show, we have Ed Campbell, who's in today, and I saw somebody who joined us on the, and we have somebody who joined us. That was Erica, who joined us a little while ago, and then
okay?
she just, no, but still, she's coming back. She said we'll be right back, and
Okay.
we'll continue from there. All right. So, what
Absolutely.
do we have today?
So yeah, so like I said, this will be our last recap. We're going to talk about our last 5 episodes that we covered as we approach uh, the end of the year 2024. So we've explored everything from financial literacy with our Anthony Weaver episode, and reflected on a few guests entrepreneurial journey, most recently Mr. Reginald King, and we've shared some powerful stories and insights that resonate deeply within our culture. And so we are going to celebrate these moments and actually have some clips ready this go round. We didn't do that last time. So yeah, let's just go in order. So our last recap was 179. So we're picking up at 182.
And
Don't ask. Go ahead.
I want to say welcome to the show, Ed Campbell. You have always been here, my brother, all the time, and you say peace and light, family, and we really want to appreciate you for always supporting us all the time. Thank you.
For sure. Shout out to Brother Ed, and all of our folks in the chat. And if you were catching us late on the replay, we appreciate you as well. And this episode will go to audio very soon, and be global everywhere you can find podcasts and all the places. All right. So let's get into a clip and then we will discuss this one. It came from episode 182, which featured licensed mental health counselor Denise D. Moore, and we talked about domestic violence and the warning signs. So let's get into the clip and we'll talk about it.
Able to talk about this. Now, what are some of the common misconceptions about domestic violence that people need to be aware of?
Yes. So a lot of people do not always believe that it happens often, and it does. Another misconception is that men is always the perpetrator. Not true at all. There are many women who are the perpetrator, who are the aggressor and the abuser in the relationships. It does not just affect intimate couples, it affects the whole family, such as the children and the extended family as well. Um, a lot of individuals believe that it's easy to leave when you're in the situation, and it's not always easy for everyone. A lot of people don't believe that it's that you should love the person that you're being abused by, and that's not always the case.
Mhm.
It's not always physical either. That's another misconception that some.
Okay. Okay. And shout out to Denise D. Moore, who is a licensed mental health counselor who has joined us on a few episodes and shared some insightful information about domestic violence. So, your thoughts here?
Um, it was really a somber occasion at that time because we had to talk about a lot of the things that do happen in our lives, and I think one of the greatest parts that had me um, really thinking was the fact that we did when they spoke about men not having a spot for if you're being abused, because it's not only men who are the aggressor. The women can be the aggressor, and as a man, considering that we're in the U.S., sometimes there's that perception and belief that the man cannot be the one who's being harmed, and they don't have places for men to seek solitude and shelter. That's something that came out loud in that particular conversation. Another thing is also, remember when we were talking about, say, you and I and your group of friends come in there and decide, hey, we're going to forcefully get you out of that situation.
Hmm.
And professionally, Denise said you can't do that because that will cause strife. And if something ever happened to your friend, then you're going to be part to blame because of that. So you have to let nature take its course with your friends. If there something like that is happening, let them make the choice, because you trying to make the choice may end up bringing more harm than good for both parties, if not
Right.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You could potentially be creating a situation where someone could be hurt or harmed by intervening in that manner. We talked about maybe a better suggestion or strategy would be to just provide support for that friend, maybe talk about a plan to get out of the situation, but more importantly, to support the friend who is experiencing that situation. They have to leave in their own time when they're ready to, but you definitely don't want to just abandon the friend even if they decide to stay in that situation. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is one of those things that you have to kind of think, because most of the time they say, you're a ride or die type of deal. It doesn't work that way. And I think they say it takes about almost 50 times, 50 attempts on
Really?
average for
Okay.
somebody to get out of an abusive relationship. I don't know if if you ever if you ever want to watch something to do with mental health, how somebody can dive into mental health, like just go into mental health. The movie called The Maid, that is a very good movie to watch, and it will kind of show you. And that's where I think that's where they quoted that option, because she was trying to tell the lady at some point to leave the man, and then
Hmm.
somebody gave her some advice right there and told them, look, it doesn't work like that.
Okay, I know you mentioned that before. I'm not familiar with. Well, I think I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it, so I have to check that out.
It's on
Um,
Netflix,
okay,
and Netflix, you could come and sign up for advertisement on this particular channel. We won't mind.
for sure. Okay, okay. So moving on, or no, actually, you go ahead because I think we went out of order.
Oh, so next one I think we're going to talk about was the Urban Gardening Can Save Your Life by Kimani Uncle. Um, here's where, so Kimani Uncle is also he's a Webby winner, right? He's a Webby Award
Hmm.
winner, and he talks about gardening and beets. So he goes through his life talking about how he started off in an organization thinking that that's where he'd be, and then after a while something gets in, loses his job, And then after losing his job, he now decides, hey, I'm I'm in depression. And then things happen. I don't want to spoil everything, but then he turns around his life, and that's where Garden and Beats comes about. Um, I think when you look at this, when we talked about this story, it shows how you can turn your life around with,
Mhm.
as you know, if I'm not saying that everybody can and everybody should, but with help, you could turn your life around. You don't despair, and that's part of the show. That's part of the beginning. That's the beginning part of the show where it tells us, you know what, urban, and the reason why we say urban gardening can save your life. That is to do with him. He said urban gardening saved his life. And
Mhm.
going into it, he decides to get into urban gardening and teach kids how to get into these idea of eating healthy food, because food deserts are real. Let's talk about it. It is something that's there. No, you can't run away from it. We just have to do better. We have to try and figure out how we can bring in businesses that will help us uh, eat better. You know, people are there. People are out there to look out for us. We have to try and also, what do I say? We also have to try and make an effort to call on our civic leaders and tell them, hey, you know, we need these things. And since, you know, we're part of the voting bloc, they will make considerations because they do know that we do make an impact. And I think
Mhm.
with him getting into those spaces where he teaches kids and adults now to be able to eat, no, good food. We can say good food, but healthy, and get into healthy
Yes.
lifestyle, because you start off with healthy lifestyles as you're young, and then it becomes part of you as you grow along. So these things have to be taught early enough, and then you kind of get on with it in your lifetime.
Yes, and then I have a clip to show for that episode, so let's get into that for the ones who have not seen this episode, and maybe you can refer back to episode 180. So let's take a look. And so, how did you start gardening in beads, and how did you come up with the idea to combine gardening with music in this way?
So I always talk about how I started Gardening Beats. Gardening Beats came out of nowhere, and when it came, it just came. So I did go through my little bout of depression, mental illness. You know, as Black folks, sometimes that's hard to admit that you got some mental issues going on because people start looking at you crazy.
Okay, and then let's see. Let's do one more before we discuss from that episode. And okay, here's where you get your vegetables matters, right?
Yes. I mean, I still shop at the
Wow.
grocery store, but I don't shop that much at the grocery store. I mean,
Oh, wow.
I grow 60% of my own food. The only time I buy anything like a tomato or something is probably during the wintertime if I can't grow it inside the house in the hydroponic system, and I need that tomato for that salad. You know what I'm saying? That
Mhm.
fresh garden salad. Because I'm growing my lettuce outside because you can grow lettuce in the wintertime, but I need that good tomato to add that nice little salad
So
mix.
if you see like a guy is, so how did you oh, hang on. I was talking about a guy on the side of the road selling vegetables. But yeah, so oh, hang on.
I was about to tell you in Swahili, Hebu finish, which means continue. Guy selling what stuff by the side road.
Not you hit me with the Swahili. Oh Lord. But yeah,
They'll have to catch.
so
They'll have to catch on, right? They'll have to catch on the episode. Just give them a snapshot, a snippet of what they're supposed to be catching on to. Okay, go ahead.
you want to see another one or
No, no,
what?
no. I was saying the people. You started talking about the guy by the roadside, and then you cut
Yeah,
them off.
yeah, yeah.
If they want to know what it is all about, all the story, let them go check it out.
Okay, yeah, please check it out. This was like a power episode. We literally like rolled on for 2 hours plus. He was such a trooper. Oh, you know what? We got to do that thing that we said we were gonna do. Um, but yeah, so shout out to Kimani Anku 2022 Webby Award winner podcast
Speaker at the African Audio Festival.
prior speaker at Afros and Audio. Yeah, definitely really powerful guest and had a wonderful, amazing story. And just the way that he spoke about vegetables really like invoked the chat. Like we had all these questions popping, which was really cool to see. And, actually, I even got excited about vegetables. My husband was like, I ain't never seen you get this excited about no vegetables. It made fun of me. So yeah. So I was actually excited because I don't get excited about vegetables, but I after that conversation, I actually I got excited. So
I know it is vegetable. I think when you grow them, I think it's like a project to me. When you grow them and then you come to harvest them, there's a sense of achievement and accomplishment. And when you bring it to the table, when you put it to the table, man, you're like, yeah.
you
Especially,
know what?
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I had put it in the notes that I really felt like there was symbolism in, especially in his story, where or a lot of people experiencing depression, they find some sort of outlet that helps them get through it, and it's gonna be different for everybody's case, especially with people going to therapy and things like that. But I feel like you just for the personal journey to get past it, you just like it helps to have some sort of outlet, right? Look, we heard some friends say that podcasting has been that thing for them, or some sort of hobby or skill that they've developed. I feel like in his case, the upon the suggestion of, I want to say, his mother or a family member to try gardening, it was just like that thing. And I feel like there's symbolism between planting life in the garden and then overcoming something like depression, you know what I mean, that really can take over your whole life and really bring you to a dark place. It just seemed like there's symbolism, and I'm glad that in his case, he was able to find light in life, and like a revitalization, even like better health, and all of that just from taking the interest in gardening, and that we could share that with so many people in just a short amount of time. So
Yeah, you're right. Right.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have a question in
Comment
chat.
by Ed. Ed says, what are 3 things you love about this phenomenal podcast? Jen, your creativity is amazing, and the collaboration you two have going on is blacktastic. Salute to you, my brother. Thank you, Ed.
Oh, thanks. That's pretty cool. We appreciate that. For sure. Definitely.
He asked a question. 3 things you love about this phenomenal podcast.
Well, Sambaza.
No, you go. You go first. Ladies first.
Yeah, so and we kind of touched on that in the beginning, that this really, I like that it kind of came together organically, that we didn't like force this thing, okay, we're gonna come up with this great, it was just really organic, that we had a plan about Black History Month, and we partnered up on that and had a plan for that, and then we just kind of organically decided to continue on, because this is a temporary thing. And so, we're kind of just, organically going through. So I appreciate it being organic and not forced, because you see some people do partnerships or projects that feel non-organic and forced. And so I think there is beauty and, authenticity in the fact that it's organic. So I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, go ahead.
I think I'll say, I'll add one more thing. We'll do one. And then we said, say it's some. I like the fact that we have 2 different minds. and then you bring in a different mindset. And I come from the idea of the immigrant, having stayed here for a while now, and I still refer back to my perspectives that I have, and some of the things are still ingrained in me that I realized when we were talking in the show that come out as we go along, and there have been teachable moments. I think last week when we were talking about um, the money part, there's something he said about kids and the way they're going to be taught how to spend money and how our parents taught us how to spend money. I think that was a moment in realization for me. Well, I'd realized before, but I just put it out there. But it was a lesson that I learned, and somebody else brought it out. I do appreciate that. And quite frankly, Jen, I wanted to say the book that he said we purchased. I went to look at it. Um, it is. I put it on my show notes. I did go and purchase it. It's not expensive. It came up to about $9. So I ordered the book that he had asked, and I'm gonna get it and read to it,
Oh,
even though the kids are grown. Uh, maybe it'll help somebody else. Well, we may talk about it on the podcast about
yeah,
kids,
share
but
that to me. I appreciate, yeah, if you could.
definitely I will. But the idea is, you see, we come from different backgrounds and um, different experiences in life. Bring that together
Hmm.
that we're sharing, and of course, you being a lady and I being a man, a gentleman, it makes it also add more spice and pepper to the soup that we're creating.
Okay. All right. Spice and pepper in the soup. All right.
I meant salt and pepper.
Okay.
All right.
Cool,
So
cool,
next thing we're
cool.
going to talk about, it was your turn to talk about
Oh,
reflections.
that's right. So the next episode in this recap that we are doing was episode 183, which was our reflections on the presidential election. And then we also spent some time talking about podcast festivals, including Afros and Audio and your upcoming um, Podfest. So yeah, on episode 183, we talked about how a lot of people, and I actually seen a lot of people get very emotional about the outcome, and we talked about how like it's okay to be disappointed in the outcome, and we just kind of talked about making lemonade from the lemons, and that there were really a few great things that came out of this election aside from the presidential announcement or the announcement of the new president, right? So we had a lot of historic firsts and impactful policies that came out of this ballot, and we spent some time talking about that. So you want to touch on a few
I
of
think
the
I prompted up.
historic? Mhm.
You have a clip on it that you're gonna play because I had some
For the, I
presidential.
think I
No, we don't
just
have. Well,
made the ones with the other people in it.
oh, okay. Well, I think on that, I would say there's an interesting article. I'm still reading on it. It's from a website called Tangle, and I would advise you guys, if you are listening to this, go in and look at this newsletter. It's called Tangle. It's a website. They are impartial. They will not side with either one, and
Mhm.
they'll speak the truth. If they make a mistake, they'll put it out there. I think I put it on the show notes as well on this particular episode. What you will see, and with that uh, newsletter, is that it tells you exactly what it is. And I'm right now reading on why Kamala Harris lost
Mhm.
on the election. I'm still yet to go through it. One thing I can also add on is, as much as the president may make some bold assertions on what he's going to do, there are very, very many repercussions that could come out of that. And the good thing about the United States is that they have a Senate and the House. They're independent. So when you try to, and also the courts, when you try to go in on doing some things that end up being detrimental to the American society, at that point you become a lone wolf or a lone stranger. Well, I won't say lone wolf. You'll become a lone stranger on your own island, and you will realize quickly that as much as there's some alliance that you have created, things can change quickly. And these are politicians. I'm going to throw this case in point for fear. People might fear this. There's the Texas right now. They're talking about sending people home. Illegal immigrants are going to be sent back home. Now, when you look at the illegal immigrants that you're going to send back home, remember there are big businesses that depend on them, especially the construction company. They found out there was a study done, and they found out a quarter of those that work in these construction sites are undocumented. So let's just say you get the 200, let's say there are a million of them, 250,000 are left. What happens to the housing market? Housing being built, houses will slow down. And when they don't build the houses, what happens? So there's a ripple effect that will happen if you go do some things drastically, that at some point it has to be realized. So it's all about checks and balances, yes, but then there are concessions to be made. That's part of politics. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll put it like that. That's part of politics.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
It's
never
definitely
precise.
going to be an impact with it. I was wondering what your thoughts were on the immigration thing, but we don't have to get too heavy into that.
No, I'm an immigrant. I do
Mm,
look at the immigration policies that are there, and I came in a different route. I didn't have to come in and become undocumented. I know some friends who are undocumented,
mm.
and they're worried. People are worried.
Yeah,
Like I said,
absolutely.
um, there are always channels. You have states that are sanctuary states. They're gearing up for what they need to do, especially when it comes to the mass deportations that have been threatened to. So even it's like everybody's getting prepared, and when people
Hmm.
are prepared for it, there's always an option. And this is part in human life. And I'm going to put it this way. I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a tangent today on this part. um i I want to mention like Israel and the Palestinians. You look at the way they have been put in if you study it properly. And I'm not going to go into the history and everything. I'm just going to go to an element of the fact that they have been cut off from everything. They cannot walk on the streets because there are drones that will kill them. They're not allowed to do trade with Egypt. So what does a human being do? A human being is always thinking of something to do. You cannot stop a human being from doing something. So therefore, they have built tunnels into Egypt, long tunnels. Things that cost about 50,000 US dollars is what they put in to transport up to animals back and forth, and goods and services. They are not even supposed to build buildings. If you wanna, if I'm gonna go a little bit further, but somehow they get in cement from Egypt, bring it in, and that's commerce. You think the Egyptians are going to say, no, we don't want to sell you our cement? No, they get all the building material comes through and they build the whatever. They get destroyed. Okay, commerce. It goes. The whole thing keeps going round. So what I'm just trying to say is, human beings will always find a way to counteract some of these things, and I'm hopeful that things will work out for the best. That's what I'll say at this point.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I have. We talked about doing a topic on that, so we may have to revisit that and get more into it. But thank you for sharing. All right, so that particular episode was about the things that came out of the presidential election. We talked about some of the policies and some of the historic firsts, but please refer to that episode and check it out. I think that was a pretty good recap if you can recap all the things. And that was 183 for that particular episode. Okay. Okay, moving on to the next one. And I do have a clip for the next one. Actually, we'll just start with the clip and then we'll discuss it. So the next one is
You
one
want to go through
episode. Huh?
the quick first fun facts that we have. The Jersey
Okay, so you
ties.
can share. Okay.
Sure, I'll throw in the fun facts because yeah, it got a little bit old over there. Okay, here are the fun facts about the president. That is President Donald J. Trump and Grover Cleveland, who was the 22nd and 24th president. Both of them served 2 terms, where one got in, then both of them got in, out, and then in again. So both of them came to the White House office for the first time amid sex scandals. One of the youngest to serve in the office, born in 19. No, no, that's not. That was Vance. That you're talking about. JD Vance is one of the youngest to serve office because he was born in 1984. So he's going to be 40 years old as a vice president. His wife, Asha Vance, it will be the first Indian American Hindu second lady. And then we have Lisa Blount Rochester was the first woman to represent Delaware ever, and the fourth African American woman to serve in the Senate. Angela Also Bruns becomes the first African American woman to represent Maryland in the state. Sarah McBride is the first openly transgender member of Congress. And actually, there's a story about that on Tangle if you want to go read it about the um, transgender bathrooms in the Congress. And then we have Angela Kim, the first Korean American to serve in Senate, and and she is a Democrat representative for New Jersey's third district, that is. And we have our very own Kenyan called Hilda Momanyi Hilsley. She becomes the first Kenyan-born American to win Minnesota House of Representatives. That's from the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, which she will represent District 38A. Her family relocated to the United States when she was only 9 years old. Man, let me tell you, this created a buzz. Even in the parliament of Kenya, they were talking about her like you'd think that she even belonged there.
Really? Okay.
Well, she she came from, but you would think that but they're proud. They're proud. They're proud.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So yeah, a lot of and that's just, a handful of the first. It was a lot of historic moments in this election across the board. So, all right. So we'll pivot on to the next episode in this recap that we're doing a recap of the last 5 episodes for 2024 before we press on. Okay, so episode 184, which was the entrepreneurial journey with businessman Reginald King. And let's just go into a clip and then we'll talk about it. Let's see. I do. Okay, here we go. I think I only have one clip for him.
Okay. Do you
Right.
keep yourself motivated in challenging times? Like when you see that steak and you're like, man, I gotta have that steak, and you're vegan and you're staying off of it, and this is a commitment you made to yourself, just like the way you make a commitment to a business. This is what I want to bring in profit. I need to wake up early in the morning and do this and this and that. Um,
Mhm.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, and it comes down to discipline. I don't even think I mentioned that word through this whole podcast, but
No.
that's really, 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 really important as far as discipline and how you see yourself and how you want to be seen in the future. Like I've came across a lot of people that are like 75 and they can't move like they want to.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was interesting how we actually had a really great conversation talking about his business path and journey, and then he shared that he does practice a big vegan lifestyle, but it also kind of went further into how that impacts his business mindset, and not just, oh, I'm vegan because I want to be healthy, but actually how like he equated it to, I want to do my business in a more productive way, and me being a healthier person allows me to be a better business person. And I thought that was a cool. I never really heard anyone like equate it, aside from the health benefits of being healthier. Do you know what I'm saying? I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because I follow him on Facebook. We follow each other on Facebook, and I've watched his journey because as he left work, he left the employment. We still were friends. We still are friends up to today. And he was always he used to love to cook, and he would cook his steak, and I used to see him making some really nice steaks. You put your stuff on Facebook, put your business out there. But suddenly he just turned and started eating the vegan, going to the vegan lifestyle. So when I was
Mm-hmm.
seeing him going into that vegan lifestyle, I was like, oh, okay, great. So I that's why I followed it. And one thing I know about the when you get into this lifestyle, there's a tendency to kind of shift back to what you're used to, especially when you eat steak, meat, and stuff like that. Or like say you give up uh, drinking soda or cold drinks.
Mm-hmm.
There's that idea of having to try and say, you know what, let me try one bit. That in itself is not is something called discipline. So I decided to use both. Having you want to make profit in your business. What are you going to do to stick in to a business? Because you let a business go, it'll fail and you'll lose and you'll end up in losses, and that could cost you a whole lot. Same as when you decide, hey, I want to get into a vegan lifestyle, you have to operate in that manner and say, even if I'm offered a steak or a burger, as much as it may smell good, no, you make a choice. You either eat a vegan burger or bean burger or something else. I've tried a
Yeah.
bean burger or an impossible burger for that matter,
Yeah.
but they're expensive too.
Okay. I had another clip from this one. So let's go there and then we can share. So,
And then once the recession hit, my business just started going down. I wasn't making the money I was making. I wasn't getting the contracts. And so I kind of like took it personally, thinking it was me. I was a failure. I wasn't able to do all the things it take to run a successful business. So the Lord blessed me. I was able to wrap up all of my contracts, high integrity, finish everything you start. And then I was able to sell my house and move from Virginia and start a fresh start in Texas, and which was a blessing as well. And that's where me and Sambaza's path crossed. I got hired at Verizon in 2006, um, still with the entrepreneur mind state. So I literally said, hey, I'm gonna go to this company and I'm gonna work it like it's my business. I'm gonna stay out of everybody's business, try to be a light of, in every environment, just try to make everything better.
Some powerful words.
so like, yeah, definitely powerful words in that clip. I think that was the clip I was looking for at first, where he talked about, overcoming challenges and things like that, that bounce back, which you really, have to have if you're going to really be successful as an entrepreneur. So for him to share that, I thought that was amazing. And then also, yeah, go ahead. I lost my thought. I lost my thought on that one.
Well, I like him. Yeah, like we said, he picked up from where he left off, coming into work, and he had that mindset, being an entrepreneur. What would he
Hmm.
like to do at work that would make him stay in the same mindset? And you could tell he was different. He wasn't like everybody else. He had a focus, and I think when the right time came, he just took off and went and started his own practice, and which is the what do you call it, um, veteran security.
Mhm.
So he decided, well, it was time. He started it, and he's been doing it for a while now, and it looks like they're going great. Um, Last but not least, we have Free Yourself, Paycheck to Paycheck Lifestyle by Anthony Weaver. Now, Anthony is someone we met at the Afros and Audio Festival. And when we met, we decided, hey, you were talking, he was on a panel. And on his panel, he talked about, how he personally had gotten into the credit card rat race that goes on in America, and he got out of it, and He then again went to start a podcast called About the Wallet. Now, About the Wallet, it brings in people who give advice, but they the advice that is being given out there, if you ever go and listen to it, and he'll put a disclaimer, go for the disclaimer. It's something that is for educational purposes. You have to do your due diligence and do your research on it. They only give you pointers. Now you do your due diligence, you go and find out what's there. So the people come in and explain to other people who are interested on that particular show, on how to save money, how to get into the mindset of saving money, how to get off the credit card credit card dilemmas, how to be responsible in utilizing your credit card. So when you do that, you can get yourself into financial independence, and that's what everyone wants. You don't want to be all the time looking behind you for, or maybe when the phone rings, you're scared because you see if the thing says debt collector or something of that sort. So you you want to really go and check out the podcast. I've listened to a couple of the episodes there, and they're really nice episodes, and they have a lot of information. Not to say the list. He makes you aware and makes you feel like you have a way out of despair. So shout outs to Anthony Weaver and Jen. What do you think about that show?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I know when he reached out, like, what do you guys want to talk about? And I, responded that I want to talk about that whole paycheck to paycheck, situation or that cycle that people find themselves in. And I know I find myself in that cycle sometimes. As much as you try to, plan and budget and things like that, sometimes it happens. But he actually had like a very logical explanation for things, and it just shows you, like, that's that mindset thing. And we were talking about that before we got started. That a lot of people's habits, have something to do with maybe an emotional situation or a memory or your thoughts about money, and so like a lot of financial coaches spend time on the mindset and emotional piece because it's related. You know what I mean? You might think like, what, that doesn't have anything to do with money, but it does. We talked about memories of like your mom buying your leather jacket, or maybe some father buying some J's for his son. We're not gonna call no names. you know, but these things, come up, and it's a reason for that. Maybe some girl wants to have floor tickets to see Beyonce. We're not calling no names, And so we make these decisions based on some sort of, I think the word he used was value. We put a value on the things that, okay, this leather jacket is important to mom, but he's like, I don't care about leather jacket. I'm okay with a jacket from the thrift store or a jacket from Target, or maybe a teenager's like, I'm cool with some Vans or whatever. I don't need J's, or I don't have to be on the floor to see Beyonce. I'm good sitting way up in the cheap seats. It's a mind, it's a value thing. But I don't know. I want to know what you think about that, because, I've sat in the cheap wax seats before, and it's not the same as being on the floor. So, the and I'm just gonna put myself out there. I was that girl that bought floor tickets to Beyonce, okay? And it did cost a pretty penny. But in my mind, I was giving myself a reward, and things, and treating myself. And I literally went by myself because of the cost. And I had a good time. I really did. And, I didn't have to be on the floor. It was a value thing to me. I wanted to experience the floor situation. I've been on the floor for some other concerts, and it is a different feeling being on the floor than being way up And I'm a concert person, so I know the feeling and the difference. It's a difference, but that's a value, though, right? That value is not going to be there for everybody.
So I changed my mind on that. I used to love the idea of being on the floor seats, and then I love going to watch the Mavericks play. And then two situations happened. One, I went to a game and I was sitting next to a lady who was actually she she was actually reading a book throughout a game. The husband was there, took her wife. The wife read a book, and the guy was like, "No, it's okay. Let her read the book." And we probably had paid for the same amount of tickets, so maybe they were season holder. And
Mhm.
I'm sitting there, having the best, the best time of my life. But here was somebody else who you're looking at them, they're like, "Oh, these are just seats." Then the next
Exactly.
time I saw somebody, one of my coworkers, got tickets, floor seats. It was a Lakers game, Lakers versus Mavericks, and that's an expensive floor tickets. They were given the tickets, and they wanted to sell them. And then I've been up there, and I looked down. I paid $25 back then. New tickets were $25, and down there is probably like $1,000. And you'd see Mark Cuban come sit, leave, sit, leave. Yes, he's the owner. Then you see some guys come sit and eat, some sit, leave. And I was like, you know, people are giving these things for free. Why would I spend thousands of dollars to be right down there next to somebody who probably got the ticket for free? I'm not going to do that. So I think I developed a mindset whereby, to me, if I go to a game, it's an experience. If I do want to buy the bottom seats, yes, I'll buy the seats at the bottom. But I look at it as, if I'm going to sit right next to a person who's gotten it for free, I'm not. I'd rather go back up there, pay my 25 up
How do
to
you
one.
know if they got it for free? And why do you care if they got them for free or not? That
I don't
doesn't have
know.
anything to do with your experience. That's like
I don't know.
beside the
It's just
point.
that's we're still, and then there's I understand the experience might be different, but to me, I was there. And some people tell you, yes, you could be there up at the topmost, at the bleacher seats, and I am down there at the bottom. Yes, the experience is totally different. Even when you get into those press boxes, it's different. Yes, but sometimes just being there to experience that is what counts. And in the end,
And it's
you're
true.
never gonna hurt
Yeah.
your pocket. And
And
that's just me. I think,
yeah.
and Jen, I think it's something that you probably I probably had to go through in my life to realize that there's some things that I'll put value. There's some things I put value on, and some other things I will not put value on. And yeah,
Mhm.
those are some of the things. Like,
Yeah. I'll leave that Beyonce thing alone. I was gonna say something else about
no,
it,
no, no,
but
no, go ahead, go ahead. Let's talk about Beyonce. Let's talk about Beyonce.
no, I mean, I was gonna say that, like you said that, like, it doesn't matter if you're. It's a personal thing, right? So like, I was by myself on the floor, right? But my niece and her stepsister went too, but they were like way up. But we got caught a ride over together, right? And it was just like, okay, see you later. I'm going down to the floor. And but she had the time of her life. This is the first concert she ever been to. She just wanted to be in the building. You know what I mean? Like, she's a little preteen. And so, and I know that feeling because, look, I've been going to concerts since I was a little kid. Like, my first concert was like MC Hammer or something like that, or Criss Cross. Like, literally, I've been going to concerts all my life. And that when you're a kid, you just want to be in the building. You don't care if you're way up, whatever. But at this big grown age, I want to see a show. Like, entertain me.
I know, and I guess I've probably been spoiled by the Essence Festival,
Yeah.
because when you go to the Essence Festival, you do get a different feel. And yeah, let me put it like that. There's a different feel to it, and
It
that's probably changed
is.
my attitude towards how I look at events and things like that. And yeah, you're right. When you're younger, you just want to be in the building. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure if Kendrick Lamar was coming in and I had my son go to it, he wouldn't matter if he was at the top of the bleachers.
Right.
You can see Kendrick Lamar will just be good and say he was there.
Yeah.
Knees may not fit in those chairs up there, and like, nah, you know what? Nah, I ain't gonna do this. So yeah, I think I get your point. I get your point. And obviously, there are better freebies when you're down there. You know, you get some extra freebies. You get to be treated, you know, like with royalty. You might get some little bit of drinks here and there for free, coupons and stuff like that. You actually do
Mm.
when you're down
No,
on
you're
the
talking about the NBA games, okay?
NBA games, and sometimes
Hmm.
no, even sometimes when you go watch these
Oh, the concerts.
the concerts, yeah,
Okay.
you get maybe pamphlets and stuff like that. Could be even free things. You know, you could, if there's anything to win, you probably would win on being on the floor. So that's the thing.
Yeah, look, I stayed in my lane because look, even though I was on the floor, there were probably like 5 or 6 different levels above where I was. Like there were some for the Renaissance tour, there was a certain level of seats where you got not only were you closer,
Hmm.
you got a special bathroom, you got a special little bar area, like she really, wow, that was like a moment in time. Okay, enough about me. Enough about Beyonce. But
But
look, the point is the value thing. We put
right,
values on things.
let's take out Beyonce. Let's talk about how the American American entertainment industry treats you to make you have value in being at a concert or at a game or at somewhere. So you know when you go to any concert, see they've made it different levels. You got level one, okay, you got a special bathroom. You level two, you can't get the bathroom. You can use the bar, but you can't get whatever. And it's
Mhm.
all that. It's just like me nowadays when I say people VIP, that's just a piece of rope and space. That's all that is. If you look at it, there's no booth
Yeah,
like you're gonna be. No, it's a piece of rope and space. And someone told you don't go in there.
yeah, that's true. It's true. Sometimes it feels good to be a VIP, but but look again, it's a personal value, and you have to sit there and think about, does this value matter? You know what I mean? Just like cars and things like that.
And one thing I'll say, Jen, when you spent the money and you said, I want to be on the floor seats, and you got the money, you were on the floor and you watched it. Nobody will ever take that experience from you. I don't care whatever happens for the rest of your life. You will always tell people, and even your cousins will be saying, "Yeah, we were with her at my first concert. I was with my aunt or my cousin, and when we got there, she had floor seats. She left us, and she was at the floor. You can never take away that. That's going to be her. Where were your first concert? Yes, and she'll always add that you had floor seats. She left us. She had floor. So it's an experience you had. You wanted to, and it brought value to you. Were you satisfied after that?
Is that a real question?
Were you satisfied?
Yes, I was, because
You
it
were
was
happy.
really a great show. It really
There you
was.
go.
It really
So
was.
in your lifetime, you will even talk. You will even tell me that you had that experience. You had fun
Hmm.
on that particular uh, whatever the concert. Sorry, whatever
Hmm.
the concert, and that's what it is all about. You know, sometimes you have to go for what you really want. That's life.
True, but the
You have
point
to make
is
responsible choices.
true, true. So, but learning that, okay, there's some things that I can do without, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the point to this, things that you really value or you really want. Okay, you make that decision, you got to pay the cost or what have you. And then other things you have to say, okay, I got to tighten my belt up. I know I want to go to Afros and Audio next year. So let's tighten up, and I can't get all the things that I want. I can't just be swiping on everything. I have goals. I need my savings to be at this particular point by this particular month. I need to kick it into overdrive on my side hustle. I need things to line up a certain way. So you have to have a plan. So yeah, I thought that was, I actually have a clip from this episode. Let's go to the clip and then we can share more. And we appreciate you guys checking this out. So let's get into a clip right now. This is the episode with Anthony Weaver. All right, let's see.
So again, you're going to have that talk. And this is the reason why, I refer credit cards as the oven. So what I mean by that is like an oven can burn your house down if you don't use it correctly, right? It can burn your food. You can add a little crispy to it. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's not burnt. You can scrape it off. But if you treat it nicely, you can make an awesome meal. Thanksgiving's around the corner. You even got the stovetop options now. So with that being said, if you look at the credit cards the same way, yes, it can mess up your life if you don't use it correctly, but it can also provide you free resources. Like I go to FinCon every year. So I travel to FinCon for free every year. So I get free hotel stay, free flight because my credit card points. And all I do is just pay off the bill every month.
That was mind-blowing because I never thought that I could utilize my credit card in that way to go on travel trips for free, and anybody can do this if you utilize your debt management the right way. So I really that took my breath away when he said that. I was like, what? So yeah.
So yeah, I try to do that too. So yeah. It was a good show. I did love it. All this. I think when you put into perspective all these shows, I think they create a journey. And right now, where we are at, if you guys go and look at the stories that we've had so far, I think you will see that we have tried to make out at least every month, try to celebrate that particular month on whatever is going on, and also share with you all these incidences and talk about things that have been going on with regard to our life and the life out there, bringing in special people who will give out special information and give out gems. And with that, then I guess we have to take it home.
Definitely. And we appreciate everyone tuning in for this episode. Let's see here. And we hope that you found today's conversation in some sort of inspiration or enlightenment with what we shared. If you found today's episode meaningful, please consider sharing it with friends or family. And our collective awareness and advocacy play a crucial role in creating a positive change. So please stay tuned for more engaging content as we look forward to continuing these important conversations in the future. And again, we thank you for being a part of the Woke by Accident Sambaza collaboration. Until next time, take care.
Guys.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out. And also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening and take care.